Hey, what's up guys? So today I want to show you about NBP Skin Texture Pro 4, which is my newer action that creates an incredible layer stack for frequency management or texture management really, allowing you to work on skin texture in ways that really we haven't seen before, certainly not on layer stacks. And it's really designed for body skin, even though it excels as well on face skin. Really body skin is what I was designing it for. And what's that going to mean? That's going to mean, sort of fashion, glamour, editorial images, fitness images, boudoir images, of course, fine art nude images as well. For body skin, this is what I really wanted to do, was create a tool that did that. And this is the fourth iteration of it, and it works better than ever, especially now that we can do multiple frequency extraction, something that I've kind of learned about in recent times, and I've implemented it. So I'm going to run it, which I'll fast forward on the video because it takes my computer with my megapixel images roughly about a minute to run. So rather than just letting you guys watch that, we'll fast forward that. But then I'll show you how fast we can get a commercial texture look on a shot like this. Even though there's some things we want to fix, we can see what happens automatically. And then if there's other things we need to change, well, we have an advanced frequency separation set up already in the stack, and we can make fast changes. Let me show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and run it. We'll fast forward this. Here we go. All right, so it's already run. Let's kind of zoom in a little bit and see what our skin tone is doing, our skin texture is doing. There we go. We have off and we have on. Already a result. We're already managing texture really, really well. Now, let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. So there's some skin texture right there. We have the higher texture extracted, and you can see that here. If I turn it off, all we see is the lower texture, right? Then down here, this is the wider texture, or the broad texture, as we call it. If I turn that off, then all we see is the backing, which is really, really wide texture, and it starts to look really, really fake, which is why we bring back some of that broad texture. Helps that reality along, right? All right, so we can also, with contrast, we can sharpen these textures, these frequencies. So right now I have the fine texture to about a 30 contrast using the legacy mode of the contrast slider to give me more range. If I increase that to 50, you can see how that texture got really strong. You can also turn off the contrast layer if you want and just look at the base texture. This is the texture extracted from the image itself, at least in that frequency. You can enhance it. And if you use negative contrast, you can actually take it down, which in this case we don't want to do, but you can. In fact, the broad contrast is how we're reducing that. So if I turn off the contrast slider, we bring back some of that broader contrast, which is that frequency. But if we reduce it, then we get kind of that commercial look. And how much reality you want is up to you. If you take that broad contrast and take it down to -50 like I have here, you'll lose a lot of reality. But you can also make it -35. And leave some of that reality in there, right? So it's up to you really on how you want to leverage it. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at -50 for that kind of ultra polished, there you go, super commercial look. Now, it's basically ready to go as far as I'm concerned, because we have off and on. We've created a beautiful commercial look already. But if we want to fix a few extra things just to kind of not distract your eye, we have some creases here on the leg, and we can look at the elbow crease if we really wanted to. We have manual smoothing, and just take a white paintbrush on that mask and just casually paint in different areas and smooth that out. And you can take a black paintbrush and bring it back wherever you need to. In fact, if I go to the elbow, you see how much I reduced it, right? So we can scale that back with opacity, don't get me wrong, but we can use the white paintbrush to put this secondary or this manual smoothing wherever we feel necessary, okay? Something like that. Now, little details like the outfit here, that little string hanging out, those are things that can be fixed with healing if you want to and need to, of course. But you can casually fix a few extra areas here if you feel you wanted to. No problem at all. And then again, we can scale back the opacity of that if we needed to. And in fact, I think I do. So I'm going to make it like a 75% opacity on that manual smoothing. Okay. And because the entire process kind of reduces contrast, I'm going to go to my linear contrast layer and increase that a little bit on the opacity. There we go. Off and on. Now I have a protect highlights button here, which is part of the action set. And when I push that, all it does is take the entire folder and uses a blend if to control where the highlights are, so we can kind of not do a smoothing operation on highlights. Now, extreme highlights anyway. Now in this case, I don't have a whole lot. It actually doesn't look too bad here. I don't mind that so much, but I like to run that, especially when I have even a little bit of shiny skin. Now, look how fast that was, even with me talking. Off on. See that? That is already a commercial textured look. You can go more detail if you want. Because it's automatically a frequency separation setup, this fine texture layer, you could come here with a healing brush and do healing directly on it if you wanted to, and get those final little details that maybe were bothering you and call it a day. Everything is scaled, masked to the skin. So you have to keep that in mind. It's definitely a skin workflow right now. But again, off, you see how it looks great, but there's, it looks raw, it looks out of camera. And then put it back on, and now we have that commercial look already. And if we zoomed out, you can see that view. And don't get me wrong, it's not that this is done, in my opinion. There's still color grading we can do. If you want to do liquefy and make the hair a little bit more animated, you can do that. Who knows what creative direction you can take, but getting that skin texture just right is really the big priority. So whether or not you're dealing with a professional model like Liz here, or a boudoir client who's never done this before, you can still manage that skin texture in a way that's going to give that polish. Now, no action is designed to remove heavy tan lines or surgery scars or things like that. So healing still makes an appearance, don't get me wrong. But to get that final commercial polish, even before color grading, even before finalization or whatever other creative tweaks you may have, that is what Skin Texture Pro 4 is really, really great on. Especially now with Adobe AI, these masks are really, really great. As you can see, the skin texture mask is absolutely wonderful. And if for some reason the Adobe AI messes up, then it automatically will default to the chroma color range that we've developed for a while now. We had it on previous actions and previous panels. It's kind of a fail-safe. So if Adobe AI can't find a person, well, it at least will find a subject and try to track down the skin tones in it. But here's another thing. If for some reason the chroma color mask isn't quite right, doesn't really work for you, don't forget, it's just a mask. Even if it's sloppy, if it's not perfect like this one, you can still modify the mask however you need to. You can create a new mask if you need to and still use the tools. And that's one of the things that I like about it being a layer stack, is that you can modify things. You can even modify the action if you really need to and know how to. If you're a little more advanced in Photoshop and you dig into the action and tweak it for yourself, who knows? So check it out, NBP Skin Texture Pro 4. Like I said, I ran it for about a minute or so. It has to process everything. But once I did, I can do all this work in seconds and get that commercial look again, off and on. Very proud of this one. Check it out on the website. If you have any comments, leave it below.